it's a hurricane anyway, and we're up here in the Tokyo.
We booked another really weird but cool traditional Japanese hotel, but this one's built into a mountain. It's like a, I don't know, most of it looks like it's abandoned. It's pretty weird.
By the end of that night, standing in the bushes, trying to avoid drift cars, trying to it was probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and we just said, right lads, we had to walk away from the street drifting, but we'd been there for 4 or 5 hours at this stage, and it was too much. We were falling asleep, so that night gave us so much, and it was time to call it a night because we had another big day ahead of us. But
eventually we just had to leave. They weren't stopping at all, but we had to get back and go to sleep, because in the morning we were going to more drifting. We were going to the BM Cup in Nikko. We nearly crashed on the way down because we were so tired. We were fucking exhausted.
This whole town is basically abandoned by the looks of it.
It looks like it was a attempt at a thriving holiday resort.
Yeah, this hotel looks like it came out of the 90s. We have one socket in the whole place.
Feels like
The corridors are like shining.
Yeah, it's weird. It's nice.
Stuck in time.
We woke up in a town called Kinigawa, and it's actually a town that kind of fell apart in the 90s. It was a kind of a hot springs town that's built in this mad valley, and we stayed in this hotel that's definitely probably gone out of business by now, but it seemed like we were the only people staying there, but our view was unbelievable. And it would have been cool to stay in that town for a few days. There's a lot of abandoned stuff there. I'd love to explore the place. We didn't hang around for long though, because we needed to get to Nikko, and we were only about an hour away. So we jumped in the van, worked our way down, and realised that most of the town was actually abandoned. I needed to try and charge my cameras, so we tried looking for a 7-Eleven. And on the way, we found Shunichi Tomakuda's S13. I think that's how you say his name. But he's an old D1 driver, and his endless S13 was just parked, sticking out of somebody's driveway. I'm not sure if he still owns it, but the paint was faded on it. But by looking for 7-Eleven with plug sockets, we just found a just D1 car just up the side of a lane somewhere.
Wow. That's absolutely fucking gorgeous.
And I know people say that stuff doesn't really happen in Japan, or you don't think it does, but it actually does. That was really cool to see that car. That's like one of my favourite S13s, and there it was while we were looking for plug sockets.
This is it. You can see a sign here and then a farm road in Ireland here. Jesus, what's down here? Is car park for Nikko? I guess so. We saw this 14. Looks fucking great.
And again, the driveway into Nikko looks like something you'd see in Ireland. It was like a farm driveway. But we worked our way in, saw the car park, parked the van up, walked through the tunnel. Seems like all these Japanese tracks have a tunnel to build suspense. You can hear just RBs and JZs and stuff just banging off the walls as you're walking in, and you're just getting excited. Walk in through the gates and then, holy shit. you think after 18 days of this stuff, like, you'd be sick of it. There's just so much of this stuff, but for some reason we did not get sick of it. Like, oh my God. Even thinking about it now is just nuts. Up till 5 in the morning looking at every type of chassis you would ever want, and then the next day we're still buzzing to go to BM Cup, Battle Magazine Cup, something I never thought I would get to experience. I've loved Battle Magazine for years, and it was kind of coolest. It was the coolest of all the drift magazines. It went under in 2005, but it's cool to see a resurgence of the style and a resurgence of these Battle Magazine Cups. And for one of them to be lining up on our trip was just like a match made in heaven. All the old teams were there, old drivers, just the cars there, holy shit.
Battle Magazine is just about guys having fun, and these are all old mates from years and years ago. They're all meeting up. I mean, they're all just out to put on a show.
宮選手いらっしゃいました。はい、見事な走りでございました。ね、もう当然といえば当然と。ください。ギリギリはい乗っていただいて。第6位宮選手、第5位、やめたー。はい、どうもありがとうございます。
I've wanted to see Nikko forever, and just to be there at that event, the lads were the same. We were just in total awe. We had no room left in our brains to see any more stuff, but we gave it a good lash, and what a day. It was competitive, but it was in good spirits. It was just, oh my god, the driving, just to see Nikko and to see some of the best drivers in the world. The attack, there's just such an aggressive style. Just seeing an 8.6 up against like a 1,000 horsepower four-rotor fucking car is just like unbelievable. That's the excitement. What a way to finish our like car adventure.
What a day at Nikko. We were literally looking at each other going, we were like dotted around the place, we weren't all together, and we were like, yeah, like just great, like, and we weren't even finished.
Said our goodbyes to people at Nikko, and there was a hurricane coming to hit Tokyo. Conveniently enough, typhoon facside. We said we'd treat ourselves to a nice hotel for the last 2 nights, and we got somewhere pretty plush. It wasn't that fancy, but it was definitely an upgrade from the Alphard. That night then, just on the high of the excitement of our 17 days of pure madness, we got drunk.
I just asked him about the typhoon. He doesn't give a fuck about it. He just goes, I'll be inside, I'll be safe. So he's going to work the night shift in here while the typhoon ravages Tokyo. We're just waiting for a break in the weather there so we can head home. We're just waiting for a break in the weather.
Typhoon.
Yeah, so this is a hurricane anyway, and we're up here in the Tokyo. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's going to hit there. That's 3 now. Look. So we're just waiting for a break. Go. Sketch. Guard.
And then we just kept drinking, and obviously because we're idiots, we just kept drinking, and we couldn't believe that in a typhoon, the entire like metropolitan area of Tokyo was like abandoned, but all the convenience stores stayed open, and they serve beer all the time.
Just got cans. Me and Ruben are out in the typhoon because we're fucking idiots. Getting pretty bad.
We just kept buying beer and kept drinking, and the typhoon rolled in and we kind of forgot about the typhoon.
Well, we found a seat with a lovely fresh carpet base.
Hello, Japan.
Oh man, you love Japan.
Japanese car culture.
Holy fuck. Typhoon! Typhoon! Go in with your fucking dough! Ruben, you passed out in a typhoon. You went to sleep in the middle of 100-mile-an-hour winds. Come on. I can't believe you slept through this cold.
It's so cold. Of course it's fucking cold.
It's like 36 degrees.
It's fucking freezing.
Just quick change of tea and you're good to go. You slept for fucking like 30 minutes. You were fast asleep. I actually woke up because I was scared that we weren't going to make it back here. Brad, man, you look well.
You pull this off.
Take it off. Here, look. Come on. You're doing a good job. We're all proud of you. Oh, it's back on. What happened?
So we're going back out to get a can of beer because all the 7-Elevens and all the convenience stores are still open in this natural disaster.
You told me they're still open.
But you're wet, so you want to change your pants and t-shirt.
I decided, alright lads, I'm actually going to go back and get the Alphard and put it underground because I was afraid as well that the car was going to get damaged in this typhoon, you know. So I said, lads, you work away, you go have your couple of pints, I'm going to go back, I'll put the car into safety and I'll see you later. Grand. I remember waking up at maybe, I don't know, say 2 o'clock or something like that. And here's the two boys and they're standing at the end of my bed and they're doing that, you know, that super, I'm trying to be quiet, but I'm drunk. And I was really tired and I was trying not to be cranky, so I didn't say anything. I just said, I'll just be asleep here. And there they are taking off their clothes to put on more dry clothes to go back outside.
Are you enjoying yourself? No! You having fun? Oh!
I got really, really wet. I stood out in the rain. Thank God we weren't drunk because we got drunk again. But we deserved it. We had been through all this and we got really drunk. And then we were standing in the middle of Typhoon Faxi, in the middle of Tokyo, just immersed in a typhoon. Thank you. A woman a few blocks down the street got picked up by the winds and unfortunately she died. This typhoon was not nothing to be joked at, but we'd had a long trip and we were just winding down and we ended up out in the middle of the typhoon. We got so wet, we said, shit, what are we gonna do? We have to go upstairs and get changed because we're soaking wet. So me and Neil went upstairs. Flip was trying to get some sleep because he was sensible and that's the right thing to do, and we had no energy left, but we were sure they're still selling cans, we're going to be out in the typhoon. So we went upstairs for some reason, we got changed, we took all our clothes off, put fresh clothes on, right, okay, fine, yeah. 5 seconds later,
some weather out there to us.
Not to take from the dangers of these typhoons, because people died in this typhoon, and there was a really bad one that hit a couple of months later, and there was floods. And I know these are not to be, not supposed to really take the piss out of this shit, but we had such a good holiday and we were just having a really good time. And we were just out in the heat, just drinking beers, and it was just one of the best trips of our lives. And we'd just been through so much and we were just having such a good time. And yeah, even the typhoon couldn't fucking stop us. We were having the best time of our lives.
So anyway, they do this. I get up, pick up all their wet clothes. I'm their mammy now, and I hang up all their wet clothes and I go back to bed. Lovely, get some sleep. See them boys later. I'd say another 2 or 3 hours pass. In comes the two wet boys again anyway. And yeah, same thing, undressing themselves, absolutely sopping. Now, I have not seen two wetter people ever. And I remember Neil hung up his pants in that, that little wardrobe into the right when you walk into a hotel room. He hung it up in there and it was so wet. I was trying to go to sleep and the dripping off his pants was actually keeping me awake. So, boys crawled into bed. I got up again and there's one of them washing lines anyway in the bathroom. And I grabbed every single piece of these fuckers' clothes and I hung them up and let them dry.
I'm glad you're comfy. You okay down there?
The wall has got a good texture to it. I just want to go in.
I have no clothes, nothing, because we were out in the typhoon all night. We found this dryer bought proper quantities. And listen to the sound of hangover.
So soothing on the head.
Yeah, it's a great idea, the typhoon. And this is what's going on.
Going home tomorrow. Everything's fucked. All the buses are cancelled. Planes, trains, automobiles. We don't have any. I have none. And the sound of it is fucking horrible.
Yeah, fuck. The next day, completely hungover, destroyed. We wandered around. I had a really bad hangover, and yeah, the whole of Tokyo was in turmoil. It was closed down, and everything was like the train lines were disrupted, and there was floods and all sorts of stuff. And I had no shoes and no clothes, and yeah, what a way to just kind of end the trip. That day was kind of a lazy day. That was our last day, our last full day in Japan. Ruben dropped off the van to the auction house because we were selling it off.
And the plan was to drop the Alphard to a garage. Steve had arranged for us to drop the Alphard to a garage because he was going to sell it on when we were finished with it and recuperate some of the money. So I was loosely speaking to him. It was the final day. Where do I leave the car? Where do I leave the Alphard? And he said, oh, do you want to take it? You can have it, bring it back to Ireland and see can you sell it, and maybe you can have it for free and keep the profit. I said no, then we have to pay import tax and shipping and VAT and VRT and all these charges in Ireland. It would end up costing about €3,000 or €4,000 for a free van. So we said no, thanks for the offer, Steve, but we'll just drop it to this garage. So he didn't get back to me for a while, and then he said, sorry Ruben, can you drop it to USS Tokyo? So being in Tokyo, I was like, yeah, of course I can drop it to USS Tokyo. Like, where is it? Turns out it was 2 hours drive away, and this was like 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. I said it was like about 8 p.m. I said if I don't get out to USS Tokyo, which is 2 hours from where we are now, I'm not going to get back. So I have to go. Quick decision. I'm gone. I took the Wi-Fi with me and I headed off mission. Now I like a good mission anyway, so I wasn't that put out. I was hungover, but so just cruising around Tokyo, like, and stopped at a shop and cruising around Tokyo and stopped at another shop. Got to USS Tokyo, which is this huge big operation. For miles and miles around, there's just yards and yards full of trucks and cars and stuff. All this stuff that gets exported from Japan. Drove up to the gate. Of course, everybody is like, what's the beardy man doing here? Like, what in the Alphard? And I'm like, here you go. And they're like, no English, big language barrier, big problem. What are you doing here? Like, so I had to ring Steve, and he was like, oh, maybe they didn't know you were coming. You need this ID number. And I said, yeah, I have to get out of here soon, or I'm not going to make it back to the hotel, and I'm not going to make it for the flight because public transport. So I ended up going in to USS Tokyo. Eventually he spoke some Japanese. Then I got through to the next stage, and I was just with another man who was looking at me going, what's going on here? And then he gave me an auction sheet to fill out in Japanese. I was like, Google Translate, I know Japanese, I can't write Japanese. And he was like, yes, just fill out the fucking auction sheet. So I was like filling out the kilometers. Steve was on the phone to me explaining how to write Japanese symbols. Squiggle this way, squiggle this way. So eventually I got the auction sheet filled out. I filled out an auction sheet in Japan, which ended up on the internet. Okay, so by the time all this was done, I checked Google Maps and I was like, uh-oh, it says I won't arrive back at the hotel until 6 a.m. because there's no public transport between, I think, 12 p.m. and 5 a.m. in Tokyo. So unless I can make it to the train, which the train was 30 minutes walk away, but I only had 15 minutes. So I ran. So just dropped the car off, trying to get back to Tokyo now. Just realised I'm in the middle of nowhere. But
4.5 kilometers to the train station, which is not really a problem. But I have to run because the last train leaves in 40 minutes. Oh fuck. Next train is not till 5:30 in the morning. It took me 3 hours to drive here. So yeah, I made it with 2 minutes to spare for the last train. The next train from the connecting station doesn't leave till 5 a.m. back to Tokyo. It's now midnight. And we have to leave for a flight at 7 a.m. Here comes the train. Now I'm on a train to somewhere called Ueno, which is only about 10 kilometers from the hotel. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, but should be able to walk back from there.
Got on the train, so checked where's the next train, got to the next station. There was one train left going towards Tokyo, not going to anywhere near where we were staying. I just knew it was going in the right direction. So I ran down and the man, he said, train leaving like 2 minutes. And I said, okay, can I just give you cash? And he said, yes, please wait 5 minutes. I was like, the train is leaving in 2 minutes. How can I wait 5 minutes? You must wait. It is Japan. Wait 5 minutes. So I just boom through the barriers, ran down the platform, got onto the train. I texted Neil and Flip. I was like, don't think I'm going to make it home tonight, lads. I might have to sleep on the street or find a capsule hotel. And they were like, okay, good man, see ya, we're going to sleep. But like they knew I could fend for myself. So I was on this little mission. So I walked it actually took me about 5 hours. So I walked all the way through Tokyo, through Akihabara. So I got back to the hotel, just snuck into bed. It was like 5 or 5:30 a.m. And literally 5 minutes later, Flip's alarm went off and he said, oh, Ruben, you're back. We have to go, time to get up, lads. We have to go get the train and get out of here. And so we did. So that was a mission. But I loved it. The expectations we had for this trip were, we weren't sure was it going to be as good as the first time, because a lot of things aren't as good as your first experience. Was it as good as we remembered it to be? Is it going to be great? Like, have we planned enough? Because we didn't plan half of the stuff that happened to us. Japan, for cars, it just left a huge impact on us. Like it influences everything we do, all the style, the cars we do, everything we do with cars is heavily influenced by Japan. So just to go there and get this experience, like you think it's going to be good and it's just 10 times better than you can ever imagine. I hope like did we squeeze enough stuff into 2.5 weeks? I mean, we had it up to fucking here with cars. Like what a trip, like just the best few weeks of my life.
I hope each and every one of you got a good kick out of this whole story. Obviously, because I'm so obsessed with this stuff, we went overboard with the documentation of what we've seen, but it'll be cool to look back on in a few years. Even for us, it's like a selfish act. And I hope that all of you that like Japanese car culture will actually go there and experience this stuff, because it is attainable and it's worth doing. And I really hope to share these stories with other people that have had similar experiences. So please go there and stop scrolling on Instagram and Facebook and looking at this stuff and thinking that it's unattainable, because you can go there and do this. We're idiots and we went there and we had the best experience ever, and you can do it too.